90% of Americans listen to podcasts.
Audio is a high attention environment.
It can meet people where screens can't. They're driving road trip, workout.
What I believe will no longer be true.
The reliance of last click attribution.
Welcome everyone to Tyroo CJ Growth Lab Global Publisher Talks Episode 2. This is a global conversation series where we sit down with leading media and publisher partners to discuss what's shaping cross-border growth. In a world of constant scrolling and fragmented media, capturing real attention has become increasingly difficult and increasingly valuable. That's why today we want to talk about the attention economy, how audio is reshaping consumer engagement. And we're very excited to have with us today Noelle Spagna, Director of Affiliate Partnerships from Audiohook. Welcome, Noelle. For those who may not be familiar with Audiohook, could you briefly introduce what you do and how your platform works?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yes, as you mentioned, my name is Noelle Spagna. I'm the Director of Affiliate Partnerships at Audiohook. I've been with Audiohook a little over a month now, but it feels like a lot longer with everything we've been doing this past month to really get integrated into the affiliate ecosystem. So we're really excited. We've been working with a lot of networks like CJ to get fully integrated, to be able to get in front of brands and to be able to bring, streaming audio and a true performance channel, which has never been done before. So it's really exciting to be able to bring a channel that was traditionally sold on a CPM basis into the affiliate space. It's a very large channel in terms of, being able to reach a really diverse audience. But the problem is it's hard to prove results with audio. There's no click, there's no, sometimes no direct correlation. So sometimes it was more like a brand marketing play, and sometimes it fit into the performance marketing space. But what Audiohook wanted to do was to close that measurement gap. So again, the first ever audio advertising platform was born on a true CPA model. And at Audiohook, what advertisers do is they set a fixed CPA, and that's basically the amount that they're willing to pay per conversion. It usually would match like a CAC amount. And then we fund and run the media on behalf of the brand. And the brand is only paying when an actual verified conversion occurs. So we are connected programmatically to the entire digital audio ecosystem. So Spotify, Apple, Pandora, SiriusXM, iHeart. There are also thousands of other independent podcast networks that we work with. So millions of impressions and, reaching that really diverse audience. So again, instead of treating audio as just an awareness channel, we allow brands to treat it like any other performance channel where it's measurable, optimizable, and scalable.
Yeah, that sounds really, really exciting, right? Like audio in the past, it can only be purchased by in CPM or maybe maximum CPC, not even. But now brands can actually Audiohook is take the risk to upfront the media cost and only build brands based on CPA and based on that. So that's really cool. So we always start with consumer behavior, right? What we want to understand from you is that why is audio becoming such an important channel in today's media landscape? What has changed in consumer behavior? If you could share some insights around that.
Yeah, so consumers have shifted towards more on-demand, always-on content, and audio fits into that lifestyle very well. So podcast listenership has exploded with millions of people listening regularly. And there's content for just about every single interest. We always tell people there's a podcast for everyone, and there truly is. So, and it also means it can meet people where screens can't and make a powerful and increasingly essential channel today. So it's really able to tap into where people might not always be staring at their screens, whether it's they're driving, they're working out, things like that. So where they're a little bit more in tune.
Yeah. And audio is often described as a high attention environment, right? Because they're not doing anything else when they're listening. Maybe they're running, but their attention is there. How does engagement in audio compare to more traditional digital channels?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it is very uniquely positioned, right, as a high attention, kind of low distraction environment because it doesn't have that visual component. And like a lot of traditional digital channels where users are, they're scrolling, they're multitasking, they might be doing things visually. Audio can reach listeners in moments where they're more focused. And whether that, again, whether that's during their commute, they're driving around somewhere, road trip, workout, some sort of daily routine where they're just popping their headphones in and maybe they're just cleaning their house, for instance, but that translates into a stronger recall, deeper engagement, and a more personal connection to the message, especially if they're listening to a podcast that is speaking to whatever the ad ends up being about. So there's that direct correlation.
Yeah. And from brand perspective, where does audio sit in the funnel? Is it only awareness, consideration, or something more nuanced? If you could share.
So historically, audio has usually been a top of funnel awareness channel. And what we wanted to do at Audiohook is to redefine that and bring audio into a measurable performance driven channel. And through this pay for performance model that we've created, we enable brands to move audio beyond just the awareness and into the consideration and conversion. So we like to say we kind of took an upper funnel channel and brought it bottom funnel.
Yeah. And this is optimized by your, proprietary algorithm technology. Is it AI-driven technology? If you could share
Mhm.
also on that point.
Yeah, so we have a proprietary attribution model, and it does start with the IP match. So that's how we're identifying the consumer, which is also similar to how CTV does it. But we don't bill on every IP match because that would be a lot of people listening. So what we did is we built this, AI LLM based algorithmic attribution model to be able to really pinpoint which conversions were actually driven by the audio. So we like to say we don't really target the shows necessarily. We kind of target the user and we follow them on their journey. So when that user, we track we call them impressions, but it's really a listen. So every time the user hears an ad, but then also we can see what they're doing on the site. Like, did they go to the site? Did they just browse? Did they maybe not make a purchase then? We can also see other purchase paths and where touch points along the path. We also look at like the frequency, how many times they heard the ad, what is the timing between the ad, and again, what's the full consumer journey. And then we can say, because our algorithm and attribution model has been verified by PhD statisticians, and that was important to us because we wanted to have a third party kind of oversee it and make sure that the math we're putting out there was correct. We're now able to pinpoint and follow that user journey. So it's really exciting to be able to hone in on which conversions, and our new dashboard shows that, right? You can see the entire path and why we took credit for it.
Yeah, understood. And based on your experience, what kind of brands or use cases tend to perform best in an audio environment?
Well, that's the amazing thing about audio and podcasting is because again, there is truly something for everybody. There's so many different types and genres of music, and there's so many different topics and conversations in the podcasting world. So we're mostly vertical agnostic, and we work with brands across all different types of industries, and we've seen success with very diverse and different types of brands. So basically what we're looking at is, does the brand have, a certain amount of like traffic and conversions per month? That's kind of how we evaluate whether a brand's a fit. So it's not really necessarily what the vertical of the brand is, because we can tap into different audiences across the whole audio ecosystem.
Yeah, got it, understood. And it also doesn't have to be like the top of the brand, right? For mid-market kind of brands, it's also perform well as long as there's a certain base volume.
Yes, yes. We've seen a lot of different like mid-sized level brands. And I would say a bulk of our clients are in that
Yeah,
that size business.
got it, got it. Just now you already touched base a little bit on the measurements and attribution, but I just want to double click on this one because Audiohook or
Mhm.
it's not really a click-driven channel. So if
Right.
you could share with the audience more in details how you do the attribution, and also if I'm not mistaken, Audiohook does not accept reversals. So how, and as far as I know, this is or will be a main blocker for especially the Chinese brand to adopt this channel. So how should the affiliate manager think about it and justify this internally?
So as you mentioned, it is a clickless medium. So a traditional last click attribution does not capture the impact. And historically, brands have relied on either like promo codes, vanity URLs, things like that, which we also don't do because they only reflect a small portion of what's actually driven. Because again, if somebody's driving their car, they're not just going to like pull it over and immediately go to the site and things like that. So we measure the relationship between the ad exposure and then the downstream conversions. When the ad is served, we log all those impressions. And if the listener later visits the brand site and then converts, we connect those events. And then from there, our attribution model, again, it's evaluating a range of signals like timing between exposure and conversion, frequency of exposure, on-site behavior to determine whether audio truly influenced the outcome. And it goes way beyond just that initial IP match. And again, we're not taking credit for every conversion. So I think that's the thing to point out. I know with, some people do ask about obviously the no reversal policy. But the thing is, we're funding and running the media upfront. So we don't get the money back for the media that's already been purchased. So that's one point. And then the second thing is our attribution model, the algorithm, there's no way to kind of remove the spend from the model. Like if we then drastically pull it back, the model thinks it did something wrong and it will change the way that it's putting that ad or that brand out into the space. So it actually will detrimentally affect the performance for that brand. So those are the two main reasons that we don't do that. But again, we kind of justify that by not taking credit for every conversion. So we're really only attributing and billing on the ones that the model determines is genuinely driven by Audiohook. And that gives them a much more accurate view on performance. And then another thing I'll say with that is once a campaign launches, the CPA rate can come up or down at any time. So if a brand says like, we need to pull it back a little bit to account for any cancellations, like they can do that.
Yeah, actually, that's what I wanted to ask. That make more sense, right? I think if as long as Audiohook is open to the following months based on the previous month's data, the cancellation, whatever, we adjust the CPAs a little bit in the following months. That can work actually, right? And
Yeah, and it's only a 30-day campaign when like that we need them to commit to. And if they want to pause it after 30 days and evaluate what all that data looks like, they can do that or they can keep running. So that gives a lot of flexibility too because it's only a 30-day commitment.
yeah, and I think for all the affiliate managers, how they should like talk internally or get internal buy-in is that this is a premium inventory, I would say, that usually you can only get with a flat fee purchase without any performance or result guaranteed. But right now you are actually getting it like kind of risk-free, right? So even though
Yeah,
that can counter the non-reversal part.
absolutely. There's no upfront fees, there's no flat fees, there's nothing unless we drive it. So
Yeah,
we don't succeed unless the brand succeeds, and that's our goal is to make sure we have successful campaigns.
yeah. Also, programmatic has transformed display and video. And what does it unlock specifically for audio? Is it scale? Is it audience segmentation? You talk about targeting. Yeah, if you could share a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So programmatic unlocks scale, precision, and flexibility in audio in a way that wasn't possible before. So instead of buying individual podcasts, because that's traditionally what was done, you'd kind of pick a couple episodes that you think maybe your audience was tapped into and just kind of hope for the results. But we are in turn evaluating the entire audio ecosystem in real time, and we're placing ads where they're most likely to perform. So that means that campaigns can run across millions of podcast episodes and streaming placements simultaneously, giving audio the same kind of scale as other programmatic channels. And on top of that, we're not just targeting shows, we're analyzing the actual content. And to me, this is one of the coolest things about Audiohook's model and what it does is because it's transcribing the episodes in real time, so we understand the context of what's being discussed and what's being discussed. And then we can place ads in those most relevant moments for the brand. So it's really tapping into what the actual content is because you might be listening to a show that's not traditionally about, say, health and wellness or finance, but they might have an episode that comes out where it's really diving into that, where you might tap into a new user base. So that's what we're kind of looking for. And then we layer in that user level targeting, allowing us to kind of follow listeners across their journey, and then re-engage those who have showed intent, but then not converted yet. And our model also, once somebody does convert, it doesn't go after that person anymore. So it's also trained to go after new.
Hmm.
Once that person is done, they converted, we kind of leave that person alone. And the ads are, again, they're dynamically inserted. So even two people listening to the same episode could hear different ads based on the relevance and their behavior. So the result is a channel that combines scale, precision, and performance for brands.
Yeah, sounds really cool. And brands can also use spreads list. Can they also give you their first party data for targeting all of those possible?
They can provide us with suppression lists and things like that because we do have brands asking about like new versus existing. So we have ways to set that up. We just have to make sure that the existing volume or the new volume alone would be enough to scale for us.
Yeah,
So it varies by brand, but we go over that all with the brands as they're launching.
yeah, makes sense. And in terms of creative, it's a pre-recorded um, like a voice ads, and the script writing, the voice picking is all done by Audiohook, right?
Yeah, and we work closely with the brands on that, right? So they're going to give us some talking points. They're going to give us like key messaging. They're going to tell us what's coming down the pipeline for their promotional cadence, if they have a big, let's say, Mother's Day sale or something coming up. So, and we can test multiple ads at the same time. That's the beauty of it too. So we don't have to just stick to one creative, but we have live voice actors, AI generated voice actors. There's we have that creative studio and that capability. So we're really handling all the creative on behalf of the brand as well. So that's an added bonus that we don't charge brands anything for. And again, we do that because we have been in the space for a long time. So we kind of know what converts too. But we also work with brands who may have, say, a spokesperson. We have a brand that Kevin Hart does all of their ads. They want him to be the voice. So we work with them on that, to make sure that he's still the voice. So we can have that kind of flexibility if it's a brand that really has, specific, like maybe a celebrity or an influencer voice.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. What does a strong audio strategy look like? Do you recommend brands to do incrementality tests or some other things you can share with the audience?
Yeah, so we say a strong audio strategy today is about scale, simplicity, and iteration. So with Audiohook's programmatic delivery, brands can reach listeners at scale and drive enough data to optimize. Creatively, we say like the best ads are simple, conversational, and focused. They should have clear value propositions, one strong call to action, and no overcomplication. And then it's about testing and evolving. So, for example, a brand might want to start with a more evergreen ad to introduce the audiences to them and then layer in variations, like I said, with promotions, with seasonal messaging, with A B tests and geo strategies. And we can do all of that. So in-house production that we have moves very quickly and continuously and constantly refines what's working. And we're going to know very quickly. Like we always tell brands, it's usually within the first 7 days we can see what isn't working and have enough data to go back to them and say, hey, we might want to tweak this, or we might want to, adjust your CPA, or we might want to do this. And the brand will have a customer success manager assigned to them who's going to work hand in hand with them to make sure it's successful. But they will actively be working on optimizing because it's not just a set it and forget it type of channel.
Yeah, yeah, understood. And do you have any case study or successful story to share with the audience? What's the objective? What's the result? How do we do this campaign for the clients and stuff?
We will. So everything is being developed right now. Our attribution model just changed in Q1. So we have to rebrand everything. So we're getting a new website, we're getting a new media kit, we're getting new creative and one sheets with more information about how our attribution model works. And part of that is case studies, because that's definitely something that we've been asked for several times, by brands, because they want to see what it's been doing and how it's been performing. So that is in the works. We're hoping, well, no, it's the Q2 goal. So we've got it on, our agenda to get it done this quarter. So I'm hopeful that by probably the beginning of June at the latest, we will see those come to fruition.
Okay, got it. And for brands who are interested in testing this channel, could you briefly share the collaboration models available on CJ? How does the whole onboarding process or kickoff process look like to work with Audiohook?
Yeah, the easy part for CJ, and we're so excited to have worked with CJ to get this done, is that we're fully integrated with CJ's universal tag.
Yeah.
So it makes the launch very seamless, without the need for a customer manual tracking implementation by the brand. So we work very closely with the CJ team to do that on the back end with the alongside us and them on behalf of the brand, so that the brand doesn't have to go in and do any additional tag work. For brands that are already on CJ, it's as simple as adding Audiohook as a partner to the program. And then, again, we'll work with the CJ team to activate the universal tag on the backside, get all of that fun tech stuff set up for them. And then the data will just flow into the platform and we'll be paid out as a normal publisher. So it's very easy to get us in via CJ.
Got it. That's great. Okay. Is there anything else that the audience should need to know about Audiohook that I didn't cover yet?
Those are the major things. We've got a lot going on. Like I said, there's been so many major changes to the attribution model, like I said, that came in Q1, and we're constantly evolving. I will say that. We're listening to brands, we're listening to what they say, and this new dashboard is really a result of that. We really wanted to give brands the data that they needed, and we're getting really unique reporting requests too. Like some brands wanted to see, like, for instance, if the ad was listened to in full and what part of the podcast the ad was played on and stuff like that. So now we're incorporating more data into it. So our dashboard is going to have an overabundance of data, but it's truly unique data that brands weren't getting anywhere else. So that's the most exciting thing that's happening. And we're just glad to be able to really put that transparent data in front of brands to really prove this as a viable performance marketing channel.
Yeah. I just thought of one question I want to ask, right? So for those who listen to podcast or audio, I know you mentioned this podcast for everyone, but is there a certain demographic or type of people maybe is more valuable for brands or anything? Do you see that, or is actually every kind of demographic is available?
It's very diverse. So yeah, it's pretty much every demographic, because again, there's so many. The last stat we saw was like 90% of Americans listen to podcasts. So it's pretty high. And there is just so many different topics that are being covered on podcasts every single day. So we usually never have any issues being able to tap into a certain type of audience. We also have some brands that are like B2B, so it's not just like B2C either. So, and we're seeing success in that area. So again, it's very diverse. We won't know with a specific brand until they go live, but again, it's a 30-day commitment. So it's very easy, I think, to be able to test this channel in a no risk fashion. So that's what we're really excited about. And usually when we launch brands, they're usually continuing on and keeping us as a steady partner, or continuing for the quarter, because the data and the insights they're getting is just so truly unique.
Yeah. It's minimum 30 days commitment, and also there's a cap of 10. Is it cap of 10K or minimum 10K spend commitment? Which
Yes, so
one?
there's a 10K minimum spend cap, and a lot of this, it's hard to even word that because it does get confusing, because people hear it and they think, oh, they must spend $10,000, which is not the case. We just need, the way the algorithm works, we have to give it a number to strive to in terms of performance. And we have found through rigorous testing that 10K is that sweet spot. So we just need to know that the brand is comfortable with going up to 10K in commission spend if we can drive it. Now, especially in like the first month or two, it might not go that high right off the gate, right? The first month you might only see 3,000 in commissions. The second it might be 7,000. That's all you pay. We're not holding you to like, oh, you must pay us the full 10K. If we don't drive it, you're still not paying that. It is a true pay for performance. We just need to know that brands are willing to go up to that high. And the customer success manager that's going to work with the brand is going to know very quickly too. If we're scaling so quickly to hit the 10K, they're going to go to the brand and say, oh, do you want us to, hold and shut off spend once we hit it? Or do you want to uncap it and keep going because it's driving so many sales? So they'll be very hands-on with the brand and that data and making sure the brand knows exactly where they are in a given month.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. I think we are almost time with 4 minutes left. So we ask every publisher in this series the same question. So I want to ask you as well. What is one belief about growth or performance marketing that brands still hold on today, but will no longer be true in the next 2 to 3 years?
So especially for us in Audiohook, I really feel like it's the reliance of last click attribution, as it just doesn't, fully reflect the full impact of a channel or the complexity of today's consumer journey. And I always tell, I've been in the affiliate marketing space for a while, and I was just on the brand side, and it's always the topic of conversation is, the consumer journey, but every consumer journey is different, and you're never going to control what the consumer themselves does and how many touch points they have, because some people just need more time. They need to do more research. They need to do more things before they're ready to make a purchase. And with AI and more advanced attribution models continuing to evolve, brands, will shift naturally towards measuring performance across the entire funnel, understanding which channels are truly driving outcomes, even if they're not the final touch point. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot of channels, especially content influencer, they may not always get valued the same way as, the last click touch point on that model. So
Yeah.
that's where we're headed. And I think it's a big step towards more accurate performance driven marketing. And it will change fundamentally how the value is assigned across channels and unlock investment in areas that might have historically been undercredited. And Audiohook is hopefully helping move the industry in that right direction.
Yeah. This is the most frequently quoted things for this conversation. Like everybody is talking about attribution has to be reimagined or changed. Yeah, and I totally agree with that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
fully agree.
Thank you, Noelle, for an incredible conversation. And what today's conversation highlights is that growth is no longer just about reach or clicks. It's about capturing real attention in meaningful moments. And audio as a channel offers a unique opportunity to connect with consumers in a more immersive and less crowded environment. So if you are thinking about how to diverse your channels and capture attention more effectively, we encourage you to connect with your client development team for collaborating details. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode of Tyroo CJ Growth Lab. Thank you again, Noelle.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.